Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Bigfoot Zone ECBRO. Tonight we've got a special guest with us, my good friend Mary Fabian. Mary, it's great to have you on here tonight. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Dan. How are you?
I'm doing good myself. Yeah. I don't know how it is. I know you're for a few hours away from where I'm at right now, and the weather has been kind of weird lately. It's been warm, cold, snowy, rainy, back to warm, cold. It's like it's repeating itself. But kind of have a cool week this week. But so, um, real quick, a couple of real quick things for those who were watching in the beginning on the intro. One thing I want to throw out there, I've been doing this a lot on social media. Mark your calendars. We encourage you to mark your calendars. Come on out. May 25th in 2024, we're hosting the Pennsylvania Myths and Legends Festival happening in Bakersville Community Grove Park in Somerset, Virginia. Somerset, Pennsylvania. I keep saying Virginia out there for a lot of things because that's where I'm from. So, but yeah, that's happening right there in Somerset, Pennsylvania. There's information on Facebook. We have the event page. So if you want more information, check that out. June 14th and 15th, which you're going to start seeing me promote the heck out of our Virginia event. I haven't been promoting that as big as I have the Pennsylvania event, but you will see information regarding the ECBRO Annual Virginia Bigfoot Conference. Again, June 14th and 15th in Wares Cave, Virginia. And so, yeah, I'll be promoting, looking for vendors for that. We do already have so many vendors signed up for that. We still got a lot more room because with that event, we have vendors on the inside, and then our overflow, we start throwing them on the outside. So, yeah, there's probably like just a couple spots left on the inside. We're ready to start promoting on the outside. So, with that being said, we're going to get right into this. And Mary, I know you have some Bigfoot experiences. Julie's kind of been filling me in on a couple things I wasn't fully aware of, but we're going to learn about you tonight. I'm going to tell you, I think the first thing I would love to hear, and I know the viewers, for anyone that's watching that may not be familiar with you, if we could get a little background, like what got you started in Bigfoot, and then we'll kind of go from there.
What got me started? Well, whenever I was a teenager, really preteen, I had my very first sighting whenever I was 11 years old. I lived on a farm and saw one while I was out hiking back of the farm. And that was my very first one. And then a couple years later, I had some experiences getting rocks and tree limbs thrown at me and seeing structures and so on while we were camping up in the mountain. And it wasn't until many, many years later that I was able to connect that behavior with that it was Bigfoot with what I saw back whenever I was 11. But I have had many experiences and a few more sightings after that. Yeah, it looks like you must be buffering again. Yeah, I had, let me see, a few experiences. We would go camping up on the mountain in Farmington, back of Fort Necessity. And we would, first thing in the morning, I would go out and just run out in the woods and go exploring. And I would find a few structures, that back then I would recognize as something not natural. And I would, it just stuck in my head, for many, many years later. And then we'll fast forward up to my second sighting, which was, let me see, 2005, 2007, something like that, that I saw another Bigfoot. But at that point in time, you probably missed what I was talking about, Dan.
Yeah, my phone froze up on me because I had something pop up on there and it wouldn't go away. And
Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah, I was able to hear a little bit because I had to run out of the room when it froze up on me because Julie's got it playing back in the other room. So,
Oh, okay.
so okay, so yeah, I'm hearing it. It's the sightings of Bigfoot that got you involved in this. Could you talk a little bit about the Bigfoots as far as the descriptions of them? Like,
Yeah, certainly. The first one that I saw, well, I was 11 years old. So at that point in time, I was hiking along a trail back behind the farm. And I was heading down into a holler. And he came across on the opposite side of the woods. And he stopped right on the trail. And he just looked at me. And he was big and black, but at that time I had no idea what Bigfoot was. I had never heard of the term Bigfoot. My dad had talked to me about something called the wild man or the hairy man, but I didn't associate it. I wouldn't really be able to say how tall he was, because to an 11-year-old me, everyone was big. But what I thought, my first thought was, why is this man walking around in the woods in a fur coat? And that's what I thought. It was a man wearing a fur coat.
wow.
His face was almost bare. He was like a dark Caucasian complexion, but he had Neanderthal type features. What we would associate, there were movies back then, where they would show Neanderthal people, and that's what I associated it with, that's what he looked like.
Interesting. Just out of curiosity, have you ever experienced or heard of anyone seeing strange lights in the woods?
Yes.
In here? Okay.
Yeah. I've seen them, and quite a few other researchers that I've spoken to and witnesses, both, they've told me about seeing lights or orbs floating in the sky, or just lights, where it looked like someone was walking around with a lantern, but then it would zigzag and then float up in the air above the trees.
Oh, wow. That's one thing I have not experienced as far as seeing lights move like that. But one of the very first time, there's one spot that me and Julie has been investigating. We started seeing things out there, and I'm not going to say they were floating around and moving. They were kind of in one general area. The first night it was just like this flicker or this flash of this like small blue light that would appear on and off. It would show itself here and there, then it would stop, then it would come back, kind of do it all over again. One of our, not the very last visit, but one of 2 visits ago into this location, we seen them a lot more. They showed up like there was that one light, but then there was other small little. The best way I could describe it, they looked like little stars in the woods,
Okay.
And for anyone listening, no, they were not fireflies, because they were blue, and there was a couple small little ones that looked like little tints of like maybe yellow is the best way I can describe it.
And it was
Um,
what, not eye shine, of course.
yeah, well, some of them, it's just what was funny was a couple of them appeared to almost look like eye shine, but at one or two different occasions. But most of the time, there were single lights in certain spots that would keep showing up.
Hmm.
Now, in the very first, like we noted in the very first video I put out there that was regarding this location, where we were at, there's these big boulders. Then you got a small little grass field. Then you got the tree line out in front of us. Well, after it got dark, it was quiet. We weren't hearing nothing, weren't seeing nothing. And just randomly, I decided to go give off a few whoops. And I was like, whoop, whoop, just doing what for the heck of it,
Hmm.
And almost immediately, right after giving off a couple of whoops, looking at that tree line over to the right, there was a tree knock right inside that tree line to the right. And then right after that one, straight out from where Julie was sitting, where we've been seeing those strange lights, there was another knock right inside there.
Oh,
And that was exciting. Okay, I said, I think we might have something going on here now because,
yeah.
no, we didn't see nothing walking through the woods, nothing visible, but we heard those tree knocks. They were very close.
Hmm.
But yeah, that was the very first time we ever went to that spot.
Cool.
It was just interesting. But yeah, that's why I wanted to ask you about the lights because we were seeing those, and I did some research not long, actually a couple of days ago, looking up information about strange lights in the woods. And one story almost reminded me of what we've been dealing with. Except theirs seemed like they seen a lot more lights in that one story. But yeah, like now keep in mind, I mean, by me sharing this, I'm very objective on these kind of things. I never thought I would experience something strange like this,
Hmm.
and for those who know me, know I wouldn't just, claim to jump on anything. But this is what I'm seeing. I'm witnessing this. So I'm not afraid to admit to it. So if whoever wants to believe me or not, but there's some strangeness going on here in Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
So,
really
um,
is.
yeah, I mean, I'm sure you've dealt with. I know you gather a lot of reports and hear a lot of strange stuff here in the state itself. Because
Yeah.
the one thing I'll bring up for those that don't know you, you're the founder and the head lead researcher for the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project. Um, and you cover a lot of areas with your team. Is there any kind of strange activity that you might have heard or that you could share with us tonight?
Uh, I don't know. I think most of the really strange, off the wall things come from up in Warren County. I hear all kinds of weird reports from up there. And we have a county chapter lead in Warren County, and that's Tara Stephanie.
Okay,
And
yeah.
we whatever I hear, I'll send over to her. And I've got another friend up in her area that he's in contact with the Seneca tribe, and they'll share things with him, and he'll pass it on to her, at least what he can pass on. And there's reports of little people up there. I don't know if you've heard of those.
Mhm.
It's those are they look like human, but they're small, maybe 2 to 3 feet at the most, and they'll look like Native Americans walking around. And
Okay. 'Cause I was going to ask if they were in, well, until you said that, I was going to ask if they were anything related to, like, when I think of little people, I think about that one legend known as, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but the Pudgewucky or whatever.
yeah, I've heard
Yeah.
of those. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't know, but the reports that I've heard, they were human-like.
Okay.
And I've heard of them in other areas in other states. Um, and I've been passing on information to Tara just in case she runs into something up in her area to help her with her research. And she's doing a great job, and Julie's she's doing a great job there in Somerset. Um, two great girls. I'm proud of my lady squatchers. I'm proud of we've got county chapter leads all over the state of Pennsylvania who do research and investigations. They'll take reports, and I'm proud of all of them. But I'm biased, of course. I'm most proud of the ladies.
And there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely. So there's when we were talking about the lights, there's a couple questions on the live chat. First one comes from YouTube user South Dakota. They're asking, what are the lights?
Good question. I don't think anyone really knows. The first time that I saw them personally was up on the New York and Pennsylvania state line. And the lights that I saw, they were kind of popping up over the hill, and then they were rolling down through the trees, zigzagging down into the valley below. So the following morning, I and the other researcher, we looked on Google Map, and plus we could see during the daytime the terrain and what was up there. There was a gas line that went up on top of that hill. And both of us, my partner, he knew, and I also had heard something about gas discharge, like a little pressure release pop off.
Oh,
and that was what we both surmised what was happening, that it was gas discharge, during the night that would put off these balls of gas, and they would roll down the hill. Now, if that's what it was, I don't know, but that would be possible for that. And then I saw other lights again. When was that? During the summer, and Julie was with us then up at Prince Gallitzin State Park. These lights, they were up above the trees, and there were no gas lines in the area. We were having Bigfoot activity in the area, and they were just floating up among the treetops. During both instances, yes, there was a Bigfoot sighting in both instances. That's why we were up on the PA New York state line. We were doing an investigation. Now, is there a real correlation? We don't know. Is it just coincidence? We don't know. No idea. We don't know what they are. It could be a burst of energy, set off from infrasound or EMF. We don't know. There's a researcher out of he used to live in Western Pennsylvania. He's in West Virginia now. He's doing a pretty good study on the orbs, and he's collecting information, collecting reports, and his name is Brian Seach.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you've heard of Brian.
Yeah, he's one of my speakers for the Pennsylvania event. Yeah.
Yeah. He's with the Center of Cryptozoological, can't remember, and then Q, Center of Unexplained Events. And he's taking reports. He's been taking reports of light anomalies, is what he's calling them, for a few years now. And, to have a good conversation about those, I would talk with Brian. I don't know if he's come up with any explanation yet, or if it's still, who knows? But that's a question.
What's that you said? I'm sorry, you went out for a second.
I said that was a good question.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, most definitely. So yeah, David, he just added something else. He says, science also speculates some lights or orbs or gas seen may come from faults in the earth crust. So I don't know. That's interesting. I haven't really looked into too much of like all these lights and stuff, but
Well,
I
yeah,
like the one possibility you mentioned about the gas and everything. I'll have to look into that. So,
yeah, yeah. There's a pressure relief valve, and it'll pop off. It's I think called a pop off valve, and it'll release pressure, along with gas.
right. Okay. Huh. Um, yeah, what would you say? I don't know if the lights are the strangest, but what would you say the strangest things here that you know that's happened in Pennsylvania? Now, I've heard of UFOs and stuff like that. I hear a lot of UFO reports from firsthand eyewitness accounts and such as that. But I don't know if you guys get too much involved with all that or not.
I try to stick primarily with Bigfoot, and occasionally I'll delve into Dogman. But whenever it comes to UFOs and ghosts, those reports I hand off to the per se experts. Fred Saluga with MUFON, and yeah, he handles the ghost reports also. But Fred Saluga is the assistant or co-state director of MUFON, which is the Mutual UFO
Network.
Network. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, yeah. David's yeah. I mean, excuse me, Fred. Yeah, he's a great guy. um, I know I
Yeah.
met him a couple different times. He's been down to Virginia, and um, yeah, I never actually, as far as the UFO thing, it's been fascinating me a lot more lately. Although I've never really looked into it, it's just meeting people up here in Pennsylvania, hearing firsthand reports, and they actually take you to the location where they had experienced the UFOs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it's with that, with the information being shared to me, it's kind of got me a little bit more, I don't know, more involved or more interested, I guess you could say. But yeah, because it seems like Pennsylvania seems like a hot spot for both Bigfoot and UFO reports, amongst other things too. So
Yeah,
um,
it is. It's mostly infamous along the Chestnut Ridge,
mm,
which is where you're at. Part of it. The Chestnut Ridge reaches, I think, all the way along from Somerset, Westmoreland County, all the way down into West Virginia, all along the mountain ridges. And there are quite a few UFO UFO and Bigfoot reports. Excuse me, my mouth is getting dry.
oh, that's all right. Mine, yeah, I always have to keep water or something next to me.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I have seen UFOs, and I've seen Bigfoot. But as for the two being, uh, a correlation between the two, I don't know. I
Yeah,
truly don't know. I suspect that it's more coincidence,
yeah,
rather than, that they're involved, but we don't know.
right.
There's quite a bit we don't know.
Yeah, I personally I agree with you on that. I know a lot of people believe that because there's a coincidence that hey, Bigfoot's been spotted in a UFO right there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not doubting that's what they're seeing at the same time, but yeah, I'm right there with you. It doesn't mean it's common because most of the time when Bigfoot sightings occur, there's no UFOs involved. It's very
Right.
few reports to really lean on that. I mean, that's
Yeah.
just my honest opinion. So. Yeah, but I still think it's interesting. I mean, I guess people can believe what they want, So,
Yeah. No
but
matter what, it's evidence, and we have to take all evidence into consideration. And it's just a data point,
right,
to put in our notes. And who knows? It may come to something someday. We don't know.
right, absolutely. Now, you guys, host a lot of Bigfoot campouts. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. And you got some coming up?
Let me see. I know there's one. I'd have to look at my calendar. Yeah, there's one coming up there's one down in Tennessee coming up in early April, down at Land Between the Lakes, but it's hosted by another group. And then May, oh, doggone, you caught me without my calendar.
Oh, it's okay. I'm sorry. I know you went over this on your Facebook last night. So
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know. I hear Julie laughing in the other room. Are you laughing at her? Or she's watching something else? I don't know. She switched to it.
Okay. Yeah, go ahead. Ignore me, Julie.
Julie, you can come back in here if you like. I don't know what she's saying. The door's closed. I can't hear her too well out there. I don't know. So,
She doesn't want to be on camera.
no, she don't mind tonight because she put her makeup on.
Oh, okay, good.
If she's watching, I'm probably embarrassing her. I'm sorry.
Well, all I can say about Julie she's a fantastic researcher. I'm so proud of her. She's love you too. Enjoy the journey.
Yeah, that's her. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh, here she is.
Hey, there you are.
I'm not ignoring you, Mary. I love you.
And for those who don't know, this is Julie McQuaid.
Yes, and Julie is our Somerset County chapter lead for Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project. She's a fantastic researcher, and
thank you.
I am outstandingly proud of her and how far she's come.
Well, thank you. That's so nice of you to say.
Yeah. You have any questions you want to throw out there?
No.
No?
No, I just wanted to come and sit back here because I didn't want you to think I was ignoring you or anything. I was out there crocheting while I was watching you and I couldn't answer back really fast.
Oh, boy.
Now, do you recall any of the, I know there's a county chapter camp out at Prince Gallitzin. Do you recall when that one is?
No, I can't recall when that one is. I know Tara's having a camp out in September.
Yes, and that's
and
Tracy.
TJ was having a camp out. I just can't remember when. I think his is at Gallitzin, isn't it?
Yes, his is at Prince Gallitzin State Park, and I am completely blanking out on the dates.
So am I. I can't remember what dates his is.
Yeah, but for anyone wanting to know, just join the group on Facebook, Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project. Look in the events tab, and you'll find everything listed. I know here we have a question here. Have either of you been approached by government types? I have not been approached, but I have seen and heard, from very reliable sources as to government activity and so on. I don't know, Dan, if you've had any type of.
No, I have not. As far as speaking to local government officials that work with the Dean's, the Department of Game and Inland Fisheries and out of Virginia, I've never had them approach. Well, just checking on because they're, when I camp in primitive areas, they patrol the area and the rangers and the other government Forest Service, the law enforcement officers, they'll come in and check on you every now and then. But when they do, I usually bring up Bigfoot to them.
Same here. Yeah, I
Yeah,
ask them straight out. And a lot of them, quite a few of them will just give a little chuckle.
exactly. Yeah.
And that's about it. But then a friend of mine, one of my teammates, former teammates, worked for the Ontario, Canada fishing game um, organization for their government. And she told me, she said, don't bother talking to the rangers because even if they do know, they're afraid to share because they'll lose their jobs, and I can sympathize with that.
Yeah.
She
Right.
did tell me who to talk to. She said flat out, you go to the maintenance people. That's the guys who know, that's the guys who'll share. So that's
Right.
who I talk to.
Hmm. Well, there's that report that we got. There is a report that we got that we plan on investigating here a little bit more later. Probably, I don't know. I'm guessing somewhere around mid-January. The gentleman who shared his sightings with some of the information he shared with a lot. He shared a lot of information with us, but the location where he's had his sightings and found some strange things there.
Mhm.
Now he recalls and he stated that he's seen government officials walking through there. Now, when he saw them, this is exactly what he described: seeing two men walking with each other. They had orange on, but he said they weren't hunters. He said on their outfits they had, it said feds or something on it. Now, were they wearing orange for safety reasons? I don't think. He said at this time, he said there was no hunting going on or allowed during this particular time in this area. But he said there was two guys wearing orange clothes that said feds on it, which I thought that was interesting because it's funny when he said that jokingly in my mind, I'm thinking, oh, he saw a couple of escaped convicts or something from a federal penitentiary. So that's what popped in my head. I was like, but I don't know. But he did recall that's what he saw walking through there. He said they were just, yeah. So I don't know. It's interesting because this location is between 3 and 4 hours away from us. Probably more like what, northeast.
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
more northeast from where we're at. So,
Okay.
but yeah, we got his contact information and everything. We're looking forward to that. We're gonna watch the weather because we're tempted, considering that it's 3 to 4 hours away. We might even camp a night or two, depending, if it's not too cold.
Yeah.
Actually, we were thinking about doing it this weekend, but the temperatures are going to be a little low at night, so we're going to wait a little bit.
Yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah. Plus, there's some snow coming in also, from what I've heard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think so too.
absolutely. So yeah, that's one thing we keep talking about because I've camped in the cold weather myself numerous times in Virginia, mainly down during the deer season when it opens through November. And well, the last couple of years have been very mild weather, but we've had talking about down in the teens, overnights and stuff. I mean, I've camped in that, just
Same here.
Huh?
Same here.
Oh yeah. So I mean, as long as you know how to prepare for it, it's usually not that bad. But getting up to get outside the tent's a different story, especially if you wake up in the middle of the night and you got to use the bathroom.
That's right.
Yeah.
What makes it hard right there, getting out of that sleeping bag.
Yeah, exactly. All that heat's built up inside there. Like, no.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah, but yeah, I never had no issues or nothing. I hear a lot of people talk about the men in black. I've heard secondhand stories. I can't say I've heard. I don't know. Did we hear a story or something? Maybe it was I'm trying to think. Was it what's it, John? Didn't John share a story? Didn't he say he had men in black?
Oh yeah,
He's dealt with them supposedly.
Yes.
Yeah, John Stasko Jr.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. Well, he's the one that shared some UFO reports, firsthand reports. But yeah, I thought it was him that mentioned some about you. Yeah. So.
Okay. My firsthand experience with, other than my teammate, was back whenever I lived over at the other house, and we were having activity there. Well, for the entire time that we lived there, something would come and whack the side of the house and peek in the windows. And I think just about everyone has heard how how I went after this Bigfoot. He made me mad, and so I ran out, chased after him with a golf club. Yeah.
I love hearing that every time. I just love that. I do.
Well, he was being a bully,
Right?
and you don't bully my dog. He was
Exactly.
terrorizing my dog,
Mm.
and yeah, Mama Bear. You don't fool with Mama Bear.
Right.
Right.
Not even a Bigfoot. So
Mhm.
I chased after him. He ran up over the hill. He was a coward,
Mm.
but he kept coming back. As long as we lived there, he kept coming back and harassing us, and he was just a nuisance. Old peeping Tom.
Was it a big one or?
I never got his height. I never saw him full height. I saw him head and shoulders, and I knew that he was tall enough to reach the security, the motion sensor light off the side of the house. That was hanging from the eaves. We lived in a low ranch house, so the eaves were maybe 7 feet up, and he was easily able to reach those and turn them so they wouldn't trigger whenever he came through. And I was always hollering at my husband saying, why you keep turning those lights? I need those.
Yeah.
And he said, no, I'm not turning them. And finally
Yeah.
I figured out, what was happening.
Yeah. You ever hear Bigfoot make a noise or any sounds that you could describe or share with us?
Yeah, I've heard quite a few vocals. Yeah, they have a pretty wide variety of I've heard whistles, and I've heard them whoop, the infamous whoop.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And I've heard I guess what you would, similar to the Ohio howl. I've heard that. I heard that out in Oklahoma, and I've been growled at by them, fairly close too.
Mm.
About 8 feet away. He was hiding in the brush. Wasn't happy with me being there.
Wow.
And, but no, I've heard quite a bit. Different whistles, all different calls, and yeah, just over the years, you hear different things that are not your local animals or local birds. And that's what I tell everyone. I say, if you hear something unfamiliar, go on YouTube or go on your university websites where they have listings of animal calls from your area or bird calls. And
Absolutely.
try to figure out, what else that it could be.
Yeah, that's actually helped me out quite a bit on certain things, doing my research in the past,
Yeah.
'cause, I mean, I experienced all kinds of wildlife and their sounds and everything. And back in the day, there were some things I've heard like, whoa, what was that? Come to find out, it was just one of the animals I've been hearing the whole time. People don't realize, like owls, for example, even coyotes and foxes, they have different tones of vocalization. Some
Yeah.
have several.
Yeah.
It's just we don't get to experience them all the time. So when we do hear them, we're like, that's a Bigfoot. I've been out with people, other people that are not familiar with what I get to experience half the time, and that's why I like bringing people out. And I'm sure you do. You're the same way. You
Yeah.
want people to come out there because it's a learning experience, regardless if you see Bigfoot or not. There's other wildlife that you should be very familiar with.
Absolutely, yeah. It's
Yep.
a learning experience for all of us. And I tell everyone, coyotes have such a wide range of calls. The people frequently, mistake for being Bigfoot. but in reality, it's on the most part coyotes or a fox, or even an owl. I've heard a pretty loud and intense owl call that I'm 90% certain was an owl. It's just the acoustics of the area that I was in. It was a valley, and we were at the mouth of this little gully, is really what it was. And it was, I would think it would be like a perfect horn where, the mouth opens wide. And so the volume would be more intense there at the mouth, of the gully. And so this owl did a call, a hoot, basically is what it was. But it was so loud that my sister, she jumped up and ran from the car, into our cabin.
Oh, wow.
But it was, like I said, I'm 90% certain that was an owl. Because if it was a Bigfoot, there would have been something different about it. Because Bigfoot, they'll always change it up to something else.
Right.
They'll change a normal vocal or call from another animal, but they'll change it up so that the tone is different, or the ending is different, or the pitch is different. That way they are signaling other Bigfoot, and other Bigfoot will recognize that, hey, they're talking to me. This is a, communication between the two. And that's, how, part of how I figure that they communicate. Yeah, Debbie, you remember that. That was, we were down at Land Between the Lakes whenever that happened. That's my sister.
Nice to meet you, Debbie. All right. Was there anything you want to add in here or mention or bring up that you know about?
No, because you were talking about the mimicking, and that was one thing I was going to ask you or mention, because you had said to me before how they'll mimic not just animals, but actually you're talking about like lawnmowers or like actual things you wouldn't expect them to be able to mimic. And that's amazing.
Yeah, you'll hear. Well, we were down in the border of Oklahoma and Texas late one night at another infamous area called Brown Springs. And we heard a siren. It sounded like an ambulance or a fire truck siren. And the person we were with, he says, you think that's an ambulance? And I said, yeah, isn't it? And he said, there's no roads over there, not for 50 or 100 miles. There's nothing out there.
Wow.
That's amazing.
And yeah, that was probably a Bigfoot.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I know. I think one of the times we were out in the woods not long ago, I thought, at first, I think we did end up hearing a siren or something at one point. And I know at first, it threw me off at first. So I actually listened to it because it was a long, drawn out, and then you could hear it taper off at the end. I said, oh, that's just a fire department or something sounding off in the distance. But yeah, it threw me off. I mean, I'm pretty sure it was out there somewhere. I heard that, but sometimes. But when you first hear things, you're out in the woods, like you're not expecting to hear any kind of roads or towns or anything way far off. But sometimes those sounds carry,
Oh yeah, especially at nighttime, sounds do carry.
Right.
On a clear night, you'll hear. I'll hear a car coming, from a couple miles away, towards where we live, and
right.
Because we're out in the country. But they're calls that they'll do, where they're imitating something like a motorcycle or a chainsaw. It's something that they've heard, and they'll imitate it but they'll end the call with something else. They'll make like a chainsaw that ends in a rooster call, or something. So it's quite comical.
Mhm.
With that being said, I was tempted to throw out a rooster call. Don't pay me no mind. I could be that sometimes. It was dropping my phone. So, your sister said something. Brown Springs was an unforgettable place. So,
Yes, yes, very much. Very, very creepy. It's got a little bit of, it has a long history. That's one area too that I would be happy to go back to. I don't know if my sister would, but I'm always into an adventure.
well, no. What all took place in that location?
Well, the history of it is that the mafia would take the mafia from Oklahoma City would take victims down there and dump the bodies in the Red River and the swamps. And there
wow.
would be, so there's a bit of that. And then there's a lot of Bigfoot activity around there also. There's a little graveyard up over the hill, that I guess a lot of people have gone up in there and have had Bigfoot activity, some ghost activity, and I don't know what all else, but they'll hike along the trails along the river, and they'll see a heck of a lot of sign. And while we were there, one of our members was taking a video, and from what we've studied of that video, he may have caught something in it. Unfortunately, that video was stolen by someone else and is basically gone.
Oh,
unfortunately.
Wow. Yeah, that sucks. Yeah, that would have been awesome to check that out.
Yeah, it happens. It happens in this field. There's a heck of a lot of ego and little power struggles that go on, and jealousy. It goes on in just about anything, where there's a lot of people involved. But even so, it shouldn't. Right. And I try not to participate in it. But thanks, Deb. Hey, I try to protect. Debbie is my big sister. She's older than me, and let me accentuate that she's older than me.
She's gonna get you.
Nope.
Hey, I can say that about my two older sisters. I'm one of 4 siblings, so.
Yeah, but I protect her. I protect her. Whenever it comes to Bigfoot. Yeah. Hi, Henry.
Yeah. Uh-oh. She said
it's a rebuttal.
It won't pop up right away. Hold on. Okay. There we go.
Yep.
Wait.
Oh well.
Oh my. Sisterly love right there.
Yep.
Well, my 2 oldest sisters, they're 8 and 10 years older than me. Is that close to the difference between you and your sister?
No, we're
or is it much older than 10?
Yeah, we're 2 years apart.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Yeah, because I got a brother that's 2 years younger than me. Then my other, like I said, my sisters are 8 and 10 years older. So, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I joke with him about it sometimes, but yeah,
Yeah,
you
the
know, there was
first
a
time
time
that
where.
I'm sorry.
Oh no, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say the first time that my sister Debbie came along with me bigfooting, we went on a big camp out down in the land between the lakes, and she came along with me to protect me from the crazy people who believed in Bigfoot. But
Oh
it
wow.
turned out with me protecting her, and a few years later, in 2018, she finally had her first sighting out in Oklahoma. Oh yeah, yeah. We're
Whoops. I was
out
trying to
back
hold it up
home.
there. It keeps disappearing.
Yep. Yeah, we were down in Oklahoma, and there was a lot of Bigfoot activity going on. We had stopped to look around. It was around midnight, something like that. And one of the members of the team saw a hog walking through. It was kind of acting a little confused or injured or something. And but as soon as somebody hollered, there's a hog, I turned around and I just shoved her. I said, got to get up in the truck, and so I shoved her up into this really high four-wheel drive pickup truck, and we really had to climb up into there. There was no running boards, and both of us are short, so that was.
Oh my. Hmm. Oh, here we got a question for you. Let's see if it pops up. There it goes.
Okay. Have either of you guys had Bigfoot roar at your home? They've scared the deer so bad they won't go in the woods. The one that was hanging around my house, I didn't hear him roar. I heard him vocalize, a few times, doing different calls, but no roars. And now they really didn't scare the deer. The birds would let me back up here. I had three of those Bigfoot statues. Those a 2 foot statue and a 1 foot statue and a 3 foot tall Bigfoot statue. I had them out in the front yard, and the birds would dive bomb those statues constantly. The birds would ignore the other statues that I had in the yard, but they would only dive bomb the Bigfoot statues, which was kind of telling, you know, how they
Hmm.
reacted towards those, and so it was it's about the only reaction that I saw out of animals in the area, other than my dog. Whenever he was coming around the house, she would be absolutely terrorized.
Oh.
Hmm. Huh. Yeah, I can't say I've ever had one do that either. I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, I'm like, yeah, I mean, I've had a lot of different vocalizations I've heard here and there, but never had anything really close to me though. I can't say that I have. So, um,
Yeah,
I mean,
I've
like I
had
said,
them
some
growl
things
at
weren't
me.
too far off, but
Yeah.
I'm sorry, what's that?
Oh, they growled at me from fairly close, but roaring,
Mm.
no. Um, Although like I told you before about my teammate from Canada, the reason why she's a former teammate, she was out hunting one day and sat down next to a tree to take a nap, and she woke up to something roaring from close by, and it just roared at her so loud that it burst both of her eardrums.
Oh yeah, I
And
remember talking about that.
it traumatized her so much that she won't even venture out into the woods anymore. You know, she had to retire eventually from her job. Well, really, she was demoted and passed over before that because of her involvement with Bigfoot. But that's what happened to her. Both of her eardrums were burst out from
Wow.
something roaring, you know, fairly close. You know, she said it was about 30 feet away.
Wow. Yeah, that's wild. Now, I've heard other people saying they've been roared at. You know, I've heard stories where people get roared at, and they say they shook them to their core. You know, it's like you could feel it in the chest and everything else. And part of that might be, even without hearing it, too. And they say infrasound will hit you the same way, regardless if you hear it or feel it. You know, but yeah, that's interesting. So interesting. Yeah. Henry's saying this guy was 70 yards from home for the last 2 years. I have walked 6 foot from the deer. Huh. I guess he must have had I think he's referring to a Bigfoot or something there in his yard. So,
yeah, I've seen deer running from something, you know, being chased, you know, but that's about it. I haven't seen them, you know, being afraid, you know, to go into the woods.
Yeah. Actually, you mentioned something that kind of threw a memory of mine up. I had there was one spot where I camped at a lot. This is right around where I had one of my experiences. This wasn't the same day, but it was in the same roughly the same general area. I was sitting at my camp spot. You know, it was actually during the hunting season. And I was sitting there, and it's very quiet. And then all of a sudden, you know, it's like you watch a movie, you know, you hear a stampede, you know, you see a stampede in the movie, you can hear it coming, and it's getting closer and closer to the camera, and where the audio is picking it up better. Well, I was sitting there at the campsite, you know, keep in mind, this is the National Forest in Virginia, they're primitive camp spots. And I'm listening, and I was like, I'm hearing something. I was like, what in the world is that? You know, because it's getting closer and closer, louder and louder. But it was, you still tell it was distant. And all of a sudden, I'm hearing what sounded like, the only way I could describe it was a stampede. And when I say stampede, I should be more specific. It wasn't like, I've heard what it sounds like for a group of deer to run, you know, through the thick brush and anywhere in the woods together. This was a combination of deer and heavier feet. Now, I'm not saying it was Bigfoot, but what else could it have been that was like sounding like there were heavy feet running with those deer or pushing those deer out? Because it got to the point where I sound like I literally along a bunch of heavy big feet running through the woods like real fast.
Mm-hmm.
And it got to the point, it got so close, I literally got up, faced the direction where I heard it coming, and I yelled, "Hey, who's there?" And all of a sudden, whatever was coming, I saw a glimpse of one of the deer, like a whole bunch of they zipped off. They beeline straight through the woods that ran across the forest onto the other side.
Yeah.
And what was weird, after I heard that, I actually grabbed my spotlight and my gun. I wasn't gonna shoot the deer, but I was like, I didn't know there was something else involved there. I knew that much. But I was shining my light over there and looking in there, and I had one little opening where my light picked up one of the deer, because whatever, when they ran over there, they were still running back and forth. They were like, weren't settled yet, you know? And I was like, okay, as far as I know, that's just deer. But in my mind, said there was something that pushed them there, because I heard heavier feet running. Now, I just went back into my camp, just chilled out. But I'll never forget the sound of a heavy stampede. Like I said, it was more than just deer running. So there was something else there. It was, I don't know, it was interesting. But that's the same location where I've actually had something on a different occasion, something very heavy and bipedal walk away from me just inside the tree line over there. But yeah, that was, like I said, 2 different times, but same location. So
Interesting.
it was kind of, it put me on edge. Yeah, but
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. Usually,
So,
whenever they're hunting, especially deer, they'll hunt as a team. They'll be the one
mhm.
pushing the deer, and then there'll be another one, usually at the end of a kill box, where they'll grab one passing by and smash it up against a tree as it's passing by, and uh, that's how they'll get the deer.
Hmm.
Yeah, we
Absolutely.
found a deer killed after one of their hunts. The body is quite distinctive as to the condition. The legs, of course, there's head trauma, neck trauma, and then the back legs are broken also.
Mhm. Yeah, that's well, that kind of relates to something I was going to ask you. But as far as um, animal like deer, destroyed deer, mutilated deer, which but you mentioned the broken tree, the limbs of a deer. I have seen that in Virginia. I've come across um, broken snap limbs, that were broken snap in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
And this is an area where I know my buddy David Lester's watching. This happens in an area him and his wife camp at sometimes. And I found other things there before too, and heard stories from other witnesses. But yeah, this was like right outside of where I camped at. Walking through the woods, getting to know the area. I took note of that. I know I had pictures of them. This was some years ago, but I was going to ask you: have you heard of finding deer mutilated or finding them just really messed up, possibly even up in a tree? So.
Yeah, just the one that we found, and that was up in Bradford, Pennsylvania, outside of Bradford, in McCain County, with the broken back legs and head trauma. And after that, though, everything that I've heard is secondhand from reliable sources as to what that they've found.
Right.
They found, after the deer is killed, that the body, the abdomen is split or slit all the way up, and the organs taken.
Right. Hold on, Henry said something else right here. Bears are not like that. They could be loud, even chasing moose and young deer and young. I guess he was referring to probably what I was talking about. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
But the I don't know. But not sure who this is. They want to know, why is there no evidence?
Oh, there's
My
plenty
thing
of
is,
evidence.
why haven't you looked?
Yeah, there's tons of
Yeah.
evidence. You hear us
have to acknowledge it.
that we found evidence. The deer
Mhm.
kills. We found coyote that have been killed by them, literally twisted like an old dish rag. Twisted and
Oh
wrung
yeah.
out. We found a coyote. Just and that's no bear that'll do that. I don't think a human can do that. That would take pretty enormous strength, to twist, a coyote.
Well, yeah, like you mentioned, a human can't do that, but like entertaining the fight, even if they could, the question is, why would they want to do that?
Yeah, exactly. Why?
You know, it would be pointless to do something like that, but unless they're just playing around with their dead deer parts. I don't know. But
Yeah.
I mean,
They'd be better
see, there's a
kill it.
lot of people out there that don't realize that we have evidence out there. They're just,
Yeah.
the skeptics and non-believers want to know what the evidence is, because they're not going to find or see the evidence because they're not looking. They're
Yeah.
not observing what is put out there. you know.
No,
So,
no, they're not.
but
And,
yeah,
they're not knowledgeable about, what goes on out in the woods. Uh, they're not, they're not attuned to what, the animals, animal behavior, of deer or foxes or coyotes or anything else. And, that's part of being a Bigfooter. You have to be a partial animal, wildlife behaviorist, familiar with foliage and greens and wild green edibles and,
yeah,
what do they call that? Jack of all trades, master of none.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, as far as evidence, a lot of people ask about the evidence. We science won't accept it, but we do find tracks, and we document them through
Yeah.
pictures and applying plaster to them. I know I've had my collection of them from over the years in various locations, mainly in Virginia. She's been with me when she's taking me out here. We've actually found some that appear to be very promising, that do not appear to be bears, because I study bears very closely. And
Yeah.
from what I found up here, I have found bear tracks, but I have found other tracks that stand apart from bears.
Yeah.
There's alleged hair samples. There's eDNA involved with various universities that a lot of these non-believers and skeptics are not aware of. There's projects involved. There's so much out there that a lot of us, if you follow very closely, that we are aware of. There is evidence out there, both physical evidence, and again, there is eDNA that's being studied. Some of these I know firsthand. A real good friend of mine, a professor from a specific university, who has been doing a project. They've been kind of keeping on the down low, but it has involved other primatologists, biologists, and so forth. And they are working with labs and conducting studies. I've been in the field with this professor. He's actually come up to Virginia, and I was actually surprised to see his objective side be very open. The way he observes things in the field. I was like, this is awesome. This guy's actually considering, he's pointing out, he's visualizing, like, some of the areas we venture through. It's been interesting to see that these academics are getting involved.
There's
we all know Dr. Jeff Meldrum.
There's two primatologists that I work with, and there's along with the anthropologist, and they're all believers, and one of them is a knower, where they've seen and had experience with Bigfoot, around their home. And there's I've had hair samples. I work with one university and one private lab. And the hair samples, the DNA has been tested all over all over the world. And it always comes up as unknown primate. And sometimes there'll be samples of possible human mitochondrial that comes up, where there's a human ancestor back there somewhere in their ancestry. Where apparently they are able to mate with human and bear, bear a child, young, whatever. I don't think that it would be viable all the time, that something like that would happen because of the difference in the DNA. But apparently the DNA is close enough that they are able to be successful occasionally.
Right. Let's see. I'll respond to this real quick. 60 million people enjoy the woods every year, most of which as much or way more knowledge than anyone here, he says. So again, why only Bigfooters and no one else? Because they're not looking. Hunters, hikers. I talk to these people all the time, and they tell me, well, I'm out here all the time. I never see no evidence because you're not looking. It's something that needs to be looked for, seeked out. You can go in the woods for 100 years and not find Bigfoot evidence, if you're not looking. Having a closed mind and there's nothing wrong with being objective. I'm objective, but I know the truth. I've seen and witnessed for myself. There's people that never believed in Bigfoot. There's people that made mockery of this whole subject, but it wasn't until Bigfoot walked in front of them and it changed their world forever. So there's people out there that get to experience that, but it's not fortunate for everybody. So unless you're going to continue to have a closed mind and be negative, you're not going to learn nothing. You won't ever see nothing. So that's
they just
what I want to share.
They just need educated on what to look for and how to look for it. And I'd like to invite this person on one of our campouts, or perhaps to your campout. And I know on our campouts, we've had quite a few skeptics there, and I never promise anything, not a thing. I don't promise that they'll see or experience anything, but all I can do is help educate them on what to look for, how to look for it, and how to identify it once they find something, that it would possibly be Bigfoot related. But as for only Bigfooters finding evidence, that's not true. There are so many people, normal housewives, hunters, doctors and nurses, and just regular people who go out in the woods or driving in their vehicle, and they see something and they experience something. And so many of them are traumatized by their experience. They don't know, what they've seen, and they'll go out and possibly find, tracks or other sign, or other evidence, and that's how they begin. Once you get into this, it's a rabbit hole. It usually begins by a chance encounter like that, and then so many people are so frightened of it that they never go out into the woods again. They don't want to see or experience anything like that ever again. And then there's other people like us who jump headfirst into this rabbit hole, and we want to learn more. And that's what it is. It's a rabbit hole with so many branches off of it that it's it's incredible. It's endless. It's bottomless.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, but I invite this.
David brings up a good point. I never. Let's see if I can get this pop up. Yeah, David says, explain the 411 incidents of thousands of people that come up missing with no trace. He said, no one talks about that. He said, or try to explain it. He said, they're just lost? All of them? Yeah, right. So.
Yeah, David Paulides.
Yeah, as far as missing out the wood.
Yeah, David Paulides has that book series, and there's also specials on YouTube, where they go into some of the missing 411, missing out in the woods. And is it Bigfoot related? Maybe, we don't know. It's possible. Maybe not all of them. A lot of them is probably caused by accident or other animals, other predators, but possibly Bigfoot. Yeah. Possibly. We don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very familiar with what Dave Paulides does and the stories behind his books. Because when he started that, a lot of people thought right away it was based off of Bigfoot. From my understanding and my knowledge, that he wasn't pointing towards Bigfoot, but he was. No. It was a mystery. Then he got more involved with Bigfoot, and he started bringing up Bigfoot as a possibility. But yeah, like you said, there's all kinds of mysteries out there. There could be people living off the grid there. I know we see a lot of movies. A lot of our thoughts come from everything that's put on TV nowadays. But those give us possibilities of, could there be somebody living out there that's a mass murderer, or the people falling into caves and hitting, and getting hurt and dying down there, Yeah, there's all kinds of different possibilities that, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess the possibilities are endless on what's going on with these people disappearing like that. But, you know, all kinds of natural occurrences and that we have no clue about, so, but yeah, Mary, we're getting ready to come to a close, but I want to give you the last word here. Is there anything and feel free to throw anything out if you want to promote anything? Is there anything you want to tell the people that are listening right now? Because our show, this not only viewed on YouTube, but when we do our podcast, everything gets uploaded to my online radio show. So all this information will be heard and shared all around the world. So the floor is yours, Mary.
Thank you. Well, just have a passion for learning. Learn more about Bigfoot and what else is out there. Go find someone who knows what they're talking about. There really are no experts in this field. We're all just a bunch of curious people. Many of us working with scientists, though, who are not coming out in the open for fear of losing their jobs, of course. I wish campers and hikers would wear body cams also. There are quite a few of us Bigfooters who do.
I'm actually
equipment is expensive.
Yes,
I don't think people, recommend, why don't you get this? Why don't you get that? And, we don't all have sponsors. We're not rich. I'm on Social Security retirement, and I live paycheck to paycheck, month to month. And what equipment I have, I've saved up for and picked up used. And all I can do is, like yourself, recommend different equipment and different things to try. Join our groups, join the ECBRO. Dan has a great group there, great organization. Join Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project.
Yes.
And, we are on Facebook. We have a group of over 19,000 members. I have a YouTube channel. I have about 1,600 subscribers. And I'm also on Twitter, but I'm hardly ever on there. And I am not, I'm on Instagram, but not really on there. But I would like to promote my book. Here we go. What I've learned about Bigfoot. If I can turn it, there we go. It's on Amazon. What I've learned about Bigfoot, 50 years and counting. I have had experiences over a period of 50 years, and I talk about and share about all that I've learned, and I try to help people, and I have photos in there of different evidence that I found, and a possible picture of 2 Bigfoot that I was able to capture out in Oklahoma. Like I said, possible. I'm not going to say, definitely, this photo has 2 Bigfoot in it, but just possible. Everything is possible. But join our groups and help support your local Bigfoot researchers. We need your support. And I thank you. Thank you for talking and giving us this platform.
Oh, absolutely. One thing I do want to throw out there, like with the camping event that we're having in May, that's immediately following our festival. Anyone that comes out there now, like I was talking to Julie about this the other day. Now she knows I have a few gizmos and gadgets. Unfortunately, I don't have all of them with me up here. Some of them are left down in Virginia, but for what I do have, and I plan on getting some in a few weeks. I already have a thermal, a TK Scout thermal FLIR. I have just the basics with me, but I got a couple of new things I'll be getting. And anyone's welcome to experiment or try them out when we're out there. I am getting a new thermal imager. It's a little bit more advanced than the TK Scout. Being that will be new, I won't let no one share that one because it's a device that connects to the phone. So, and
Yeah.
it's not the Fluor One. I used to have the Fluor One. The distance of the Fluor One could only go up to about roughly 75 yards, which is good. It's good. My TK Scout has 100 yards, but the one I'm getting is almost up to 1,000 yards. So, yeah.
Oh.
Yes, and it's pretty sharp. I've looked at the reviews. I've been studying this thing, and yeah, and if roughly within a couple of weeks, I plan on buying that. So,
Now
so
I'm
we'll see how
jealous.
that turns out. Yeah. So yeah, anyone that comes out, like I said, we'd love to share stuff. I always told people that, you know, they're getting involved because people want to get equipment. I say, well, the basic things you need: get a good audio recorder, and you know, make sure you have plenty of good lights. And if you could, I mean, night vision. I got good night vision. Night visions are very affordable. There's a lot of. I got a monocular that you can see well over 1,000 feet away, and it's very sharp and clear. $70 on Amazon.
Yeah.
So, I love it. It's a great device. You can do pictures and videos. You know, you can handheld. It's almost like a little mini camcorder, but you know, you can put it on a tripod. So, yeah, $70, you can't go wrong, and it's great stuff. You know, so.
Yeah, I tell people that your best tool is yourself, your senses.
Yes.
I think a lot of us are a little overly dependent, you know, on our electronics, on our on the FLIRs, on the, you know, the night vision and the audio and so on. The best thing to do, just sit there in the quiet, out in the woods, close your eyes and listen and feel what's going on.
Right.
And get used to having your senses tell you what's going on and bring the information to you to be able to process.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree wholeheartedly.
I do.
Yeah.
Other than that, a flashlight.
Yeah. That's one thing. Anyone that comes up camping that wants to go hiking with us, bring plenty of flashlights. You can never have enough lights, as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I tell everyone it has to be at least 750 lumens or more, preferably much more.
Right.
But you know, that'll be at nighttime. That's just about your best defense against a Bigfoot who's in a little bit of a tiff about your presence. Just shine them in the eyes with a good bright spotlight.
And I had taken your advice on getting that spotlight when we had that little incident that we had.
Yeah.
First thing I did is come home and got a spotlight like yours.
Good.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I got a couple lights right in front of me. Tell you what, this is a very cool flashlight right here. It's pretty bright, and what's cool about it is it's a power bank too. So if you're out there, you need to charge your phone, you can plug your phone up to it as well. So
cool.
But yeah, these are stuff I got off of Amazon. But this light right here, believe it or not, this little tactical flashlight is 200,000 lumens.
Nice.
And it's rechargeable, and the charge will last a very long time. I think this is like $45. I'm very impressed with this purchase. I mean, you know, and that's the thing. Sometimes when you get stuff like that, you know, you check out the reviews and everything, do the best you can, and it's a gamble. When you buy these things, you know, you're taking a chance regardless. But so far, I've been pretty fortunate. The stuff I have been picking up when I'm able to is, I don't know, it's been working out pretty well, you know. But yeah, as far as electronics and stuff go, you know, if you like to document stuff and share stuff, you know, that's what I feel some of those things are good for too, you know. So, but so absolutely. Well, do you have anything you want to throw out to Mary before we go?
No, just that I'm so glad that you could be on the podcast.
Good. I'm glad you came in.
Very good. And some of you guys will be seeing some other future upcoming field videos we'll be working on. There'll be promo videos on here for on the YouTube channel because we're big on promoting the events. I share and promote the heck out of them. You're going to see a lot more about the Virginia Bigfoot Conference coming up very soon. It's happening in June. So between our Pennsylvania Myths and Legends Festival and the ECBR Virginia Bigfoot Con, there's a lot of excitement involved. We got guest speakers lined up for all of them. We have a lot of vendors. We still have a couple more spots for the Pennsylvania event. There's a lot of room left in the Virginia event because I'll be promoting that heavy very soon here over the next couple of weeks. But yeah, I want to thank Mary again. This was awesome having you on here. You were a great guest. And
Thank you.
And for those who are listening, if you are not subscribed, please, I appreciate the support. If you hit subscribe, and make sure you click that little bell icon right next to subscribe. That way, every time we go live or there's a new upload, you're going to be getting that notification. So, but with that being said, you guys have a good night, and we're going to call it an even. Until next time, be on the lookout. Keep it squashy, guys.